Hi guys, today I'm going to show you how to make a dilly bag. Now dilly comes from an Aboriginal language. It's used in contemporary language these days. Now this particular one here, you'll notice it is flat, a flat soft bag. The word dilly bag can also be used for a type of basket too. Okay, so it's not just this particular type. And also the material I'm using down here is called stringy bark, the cambium layer from a couple of different stringy barks. One of my favourites is one called turpentine, another one is yellow stringy bark, so there's different types, so just try what suits you. And you'll notice here in the middle, I'm going to show you how I did that dyeing by using a local plant, so that will be coming up later. I'm going to show you how to start the dilly bag. Now traditionally there were numerous ways to do this, so I'm only doing one of them. It's a simple handheld loop. Some people used to have two sticks supporting the main cord. Some people used to use their two toes outstretched, so you know there's no right or wrong. So this one I find quite simple, so I'll show you this one. Okay, so what we do, we decide how wide we want our bag. Okay, this one that I finished here, you can see it's just slightly longer than my hand goes to my wrist. The width, that's wide enough because you get the length. That's what makes dilly bags unique. They're generally a lot longer than they are wider, unlike bilum bags in New Guinea, which are more wider than they are tall. So I'll decide to use the same width as the one I've already done. Okay, so that's there. So we just double that. Okay, that's a bit too wide. And tie an overhand knot. And I'll just check it before I pull it too tight. Perfect. Now I'm also assuming most people who will be watching this video already know how to do two-strand cordage. Okay, this video is not going to be about how to make cordage, it's how to make a dilly bag. Okay, so I've got my loop. I'll just show this camera. Yes, here, got my loop. So for your first one, guys, what I'll do is I'll get you to start by just doing simple loops over the string and then back down as such. You can now decide how tight you want your weave for the entire bag. Can be loose, can be as tight as you want. Obviously the tighter you make it, the more material you're going to end up having to make. Okay, so I'll do a few loops so you get the idea of it. So over and then bring it back towards you. And a good guide to the size of the loops, if you're just starting out, if you don't want to use too much material, just put your thumb through each ring so that you get uniform sizes in your loops. So what I'll do is I'll do a few here just so you get the hang of it. Now I'm going to keep this one quite loose as a starter so you can visually see each knot, so that it's not too difficult, because this one here, this is a very tight weave. I don't think the camera's going to pick up the knot so well. Now when you are starting your dilly bags, I do suggest you make plenty of cordage before you start, and make it even too. Don't have different thicknesses to your cordage, otherwise you'll end up with a bag that looks a bit weird. Okay, so if I hold that up, you may get an idea of what we're doing. Where's that? Okay. So it's just a simple loop over the top strand and then towards you through and thus making a loop. So we shall repeat that all the way to the end. So now we continue, but we use the bottom of the loop we just formed and then keep going. So guys, I wanted to have a decorative band on this finished one in the middle, and what I decided to do was use a local material as a dye. It's a beautiful deep red colour, so have a look at this. Oh, you got it. Yeah. Dirt and stuff. Here we go. Guys, I'm going to introduce you to a second loop and knot technique now in your dilly bag. Now, I like this one because not only does it add a great texture to the finish of the bag, but what happens is you end up literally doing two rows in one go. And it's great because you can actually add length to your bag really quickly rather than just the continuous single loop. So this one is quite intricate. So what you've got to do, you literally sort of make, it's like making a figure eight and then a couple of little twists of the strand on the bottom of the figure eight. That's how I would best describe it. But once you've done it a few times, you get a bit of a knack to it and you don't even think about what you're doing. So I sometimes put two of my fingers inside the loops as I'm going to try and keep the space between the top and the bottom of the figure eight, let's call it, even. But what you can do as you go with your dilly bag, you can actually tighten up individual knots and loosen other ones as well as you go, just to make it all even, because you don't want different size knots and loops, I should say. Tighten that up and then we bring that back down. We go inside that one, we have our figure eight, and then we loop it twice in the bottom right hand side of the figure eight. That's how I would best describe it. Okay, and then we go back up through the previous top of the figure eight, form the bottom of the new figure eight, then we go up under the starting cord, You can put your fingers in the two new loops of the figure eight if you want. Let's see if I can get a close up. That's probably not going to show it. This one might. And then we start again. Okay, so we go back down through the bottom figure eight and two more loops. Come back up through the back of the top figure eight to make the new bottom of the next, and so on. So what we're going to do now, guys, we're going to get a bed of coals, we're going to put the pot of G-bung bark onto the fire, heat it up, we don't want it boiling, and then we're going to put our stringy bark into that so that it gets a nice red colour. I tell you, the colours are really concentrating now. It's a really deep, rich blood red. The water's quite warm now. We have extracted a lot of colour, so what I'll do is I'll try and take out as much of the bark chips as I can, and we'll put our stringy bark in to get colour. Okay, we've got a few little chips remaining, that's fine. So let's put our stringy bark in to be coloured nice and deep and rich, dark red. Okay, there we go. Oh yeah, that water's nice and warm. That's looking very, very, very nice and dark red. Beautiful.